See, this is supposed to start, see now today it's ready, correct?
Morning.
I'm not sure why. So, this is green, so then this is good, this is green. And that's why it's so now we're live.
Okay.
So just changing the name already.
Okay.
When you get this screen like this, even though it says we're adding, sometimes I don't know why it does that. Refresh buttons just here.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it's good to see you again.
Sometimes I
Long
like
term secretary.
Oh.
Yeah, so I just monitor this program. Hello, how are you? Yep. Yeah, if we ever have anybody else that can do this, like me, sure that Jeff Baker knows in the chair.
Oh.
And then we, so he's going to reach out to whoever's trying to get and so we want to make sure whoever knows. This one here? Yeah. And right before, we're still waiting for a couple more people, so right when they're getting ready to start, usually just really good about kind of looking over it and see if we're ready to go. Yeah.
Good morning. I'm going to call to order the public meeting of the Arapahoe County Board of County Commissioners for April 17th, 2018. To my left is Ron Carl, the county attorney. To my far right is Jolene Sanchez, the assistant clerk to the board. Good morning, Ms. Sanchez. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jackson?
Here.
Commissioner Holland?
Here.
Commissioner Sharp? Here. Commissioner Conti?
Good morning.
Good morning. Commissioner Baker?
Here. Commissioner Jackson, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Carl, are there any modifications to the agenda this morning?
We do have a correction to one of the consent agenda items. It's item 6A, which is 13 abatement resolutions. The first resolution, the first party in that resolution is named incorrectly and should be named as 55 Mead-CIG LLC. And other than that, there's no other modification.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as modified.
I so move.
Second?
Motion made by Commissioner Holland and seconded by Commissioner Conti. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of March 27th, 2018. This was a full board. We were all present. Any questions or discussions?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Conti.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Holland. All in favor? Aye. Any abstentions or objections? Seeing none, that motion carries as well. This is the time that we open up for public comment. If there's any citizens present in the audience today that would like to address the Board of County Commissioners for any item that's not currently on the agenda to be discussed in a public hearing, then please come forward. Good morning. If you would state your name and address for the record, and also keep your eye on the yellow and red light up here. You'll have 3 minutes in which to address the board, and the yellow light will come on when you have 30 seconds left.
And I know it's going to be 40 seconds over 3 minutes, so my husband's here to finish it for me, or he can pass his 3 minutes to me.
I think that would be fine if that's the way you'd rather do it. Then 6 minutes if we could set the timer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Becky Roberts. I live at 714 in Bowden Mile Road, Watkins, Colorado. I am a homeowner in Watkins Farm, a member of the Watkins Task Force, and representing 72 other homeowners who signed the petition requesting an alternative site analysis for the Swan site. In December 2016, I presented each of you with a copy of the petition. In July of 2017, Arapahoe County Planning Division promised in writing that Conoco and Prosper Farms will be required to conduct an authentic alternative site analysis. None has been done. According to campaign finance records, 2 Arapahoe County commissioners accepted multiple campaign donations from Mr. and Mrs. Barney Pfizer, owners of Watkins Farm and Furniture Row, and from Prosper Farms representative Jeff Bogle in 2012 and again in 2016 for the elections. Probably legal, but gives the appearance of conflict of interest, since Prosper Farm began presenting its preliminary development plan to Arapahoe County Commissioners in 2012 for their approval. Is this why the county continues to insist on using the administrative review process and refuses to conduct an alternative site analysis for the Swan well? The Arapahoe County Development Code states that locations that present any impacts to public health, safety, and welfare that cannot be adequately mitigated may not use the administrative review process. The location of the Swan site puts all Watkins Farm residents at greatest risk for acute and chronic health issues, according to the recent study by the Colorado School of Public Health. Precedents for moving drilling sites away from existing residential developments have already been set in Colorado. In 2014, Great Western Oil and Gas tried to drill close to 2 subdivisions in Windsor. Matt Lepore, director of the COGCC at the time, stated, "Rather than shoehorning it in, have you looked for alternatives?" Great Western CEO Rich Frommer said, "The company is looking to work with the community." In October 2015, Great Western and the landowner did negotiate an alternative location for the paste drilling site. Is Conoco also a company looking to work with our community? Our attorney, Matt Sura, has researched alternative site locations for Swan Well to get at these minerals. Is the landowner, Prosper Farms, willing to negotiate? An alternative site off Watkins Road where commercial and light industrial are already planned in Prosper Farms would result in a win-win situation that would protect Watkins Farm residents' health, safety, and welfare. ConocoPhillips would be able to drill under Section 6 from west to east and access the facility directly from Watkins Road. Prosper Farms could use all the land on the east side of Section 6 for homes, profiting by building an increased number of homes. The Bennett Watkins Fire and Rescue would have a quicker response time to a fire, explosion, or spill from the location on Watkins Road. On April 4th, 2018, residents expressed concerns for having to evacuate toward a fire or explosion at the Swan site using either 6th Avenue or the yet-to-be-built emergency road. The fire chief's response was that families in our 55 homes would have to shelter in place. In Firestone, if the neighbors to the home that exploded had been told to shelter in place, would that have been safe? In the event of lost life or property, who is liable? I request Arapahoe County Commissioners Jackson, Holen, Baker, Conti, and Sharp that you are representing the best interests of your eastern constituents. As required in the County Development Code, require ConocoPhillips and Prosper Farms to negotiate an alternative site farther away from our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts. Are there any other citizen comments for today? Seeing none, I'm going to close the citizen comment period. I'd entertain a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Sharp and seconded by Commissioner Holen. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries. We have one general business item today. This is a public hearing on case number Z17-004, Governor's Run Specific Development Plan. The attorney on this case is Robert Hill, the Senior Assistant County Attorney. Our presenter is Jason Reynolds. Mr. Hill, would you set the foundation for us, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an application for a specific development plan. The matter this public hearing has been noticed by publication in the Villager newspaper, by posting of the property, and by mailing of adjacent properties. All is required under our Land Development Code. The board has jurisdiction to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Board of County Commissioners. This is a proposed specific development plan, which is the first step in our two-step PUD process. And the site is located at 9382 East Jewel Circle. It's just west of Parker Road. If you're familiar with where the Colorado Muslim Society is, it's just west of and north of that site off Parker Road. The proposed zone change would rezone the property from R2 residential to a PUD district and allow up to 4 single-family homes on the property. The applicant is also providing some space for an open space area within the development and a detention facility to deal with stormwater runoff from the proposed homes. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on March 20th and forwards this proposal with a 6-0 recommendation of approval. The 4 Square Mile group was present at the hearing, and a representative from that group spoke in favor of the proposal at Planning Commission, and that was the extent of the public comment we received at that hearing before the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval. I'm available if there are questions from the commissioners, and I believe the applicant is also present as well.
Questions? Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. I just had a simple question. It mentioned in the board summary report PUDs and LDC, so planned unit developments and the development code, land development code, and the issue was which one was going to apply or something. Could you just really briefly clarify for me the differences?
Certainly. The proposed zoning would allow more housing than could fit on the property under the current zoning. The current zoning allows about 2 units per acre, and they're proposing about 2.37 houses per acre. And the PUD planned unit development allows the applicant to sort of customize a zone district for their proposed development. So this is the document that's going to establish setbacks and density and design characteristics for the homes.
So it sort of changes the rules, but it's still, the density from my understanding is still very much within the neighborhood standards as well as the comprehensive plan. So it's still not more dense than had been anticipated.
Right, that's correct, Commissioner Jackson. The 4 square mile sub-area plan designates this area as an area of 1 to 6 dwelling units or homes per acre, and they're proposing 2.37, which is within that range. And one thing that was discussed at the Planning Commission is that there had been some original proposals for 6 homes on the property, and the applicant went to a couple of neighborhood meetings with the 4 square mile group, and as a result of that, reduced it down to a proposal for 4 homes.
Commissioner Jackson.
And another question is this little park that's going to be there, this little green space, I know it's not huge. Is that going to be available to other neighbors should they so wish to use that park?
My understanding is that it's going to be a private open space for the residents of this cul-de-sac.
Private. And so how are they going to keep it private?
They would have an HOA maintain it. Location also helps somewhat because it's located off the end of the cul-de-sac to the north.
And another question that arises is, as I think about that space, what about parking and people who do not live in that development parking in that area, especially, let's say, on a Friday?
Yeah, for that I would have to refer to the plans, and the applicant may be able to answer that. But the proposed homes do meet the parking requirements. A typical single-family home requires 2 parking spaces, which, if these are built as custom homes, they're likely going to have at least 2-car and possibly 3-car garages, which would meet the parking requirements plus space on the driveway. As for on-street parking, I'd have to do a quick review of the plans to see if the street is wide enough to accommodate that.
Any other questions for Mr. Reynolds? Seeing none. Does the applicant have a presentation? Or just wish to address the board? For questions kind of thing. I don't know if there was a PowerPoint and if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Brian Dodson. I'm in Denver, Colorado. I'm the general contractor for the property, hired by the bank that owns the property to go through the process and get the development done.
We need an address.
2058 South Emerson Street, Denver, Colorado, 80210. Didn't have anything in particular. I've got a few pictures if you want to see them on a PDF, or I don't have a laptop, but...
Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah,
My time up?
Just a little musical interlude.
There you go.
Every now and again we like to surprise people. I'm sure you have investigated this area, and it is very close to the mosque. And so I'm just wondering if you're going to gate that community, or if you are going to allow people who do not live in those houses to either use the park or park on the street from time to time.
Well, it's a private street coming in, so we have one side for parking for the 4 owners that live there. We're not going to gate it. We're not going to let anybody in. I don't know how to physically make people not park there, but I know the neighborhoods around that area have had that issue in the past with the mosque, essentially. So we're just putting all that in the plan and hope the HOA can manage that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? Yes, Commissioner Sharp.
I assume you're going to put signage up that says it's a private. So you said part of the street the street is private, a private road, so they'll maintain it and all of that. So you'll need signage, I guess, to make sure that people know that, even though it's not gated.
Right.
Okay.
And Commissioner Conti.
Thank you. And will you be doing that, or will that be up to the HOA to do that?
All of us, meaning Mace, our civil engineer, and us, will put that in the plans. We'll maintain it with the HOA documents so that they have that information. They'll be maintaining the detention pond, the park, and street. Yeah.
Any other questions or concerns? All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to open up for public comment on this case. So if there's anyone, I don't know if we had anyone sign up.
No one signed up to speak.
No one signed up to speak. So if there's anyone present here that would like to address the Board of County Commissioners on this item, if you'll please make yourself known. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. And are there any other commissioner questions, concerns that need to be addressed?
Let me ask one more. I'll ask just one more question just to check, and then I'll make a motion. But I just want to make sure that South Metro Fire has approved this private road and that there's enough room in there for them to get their trucks in and out.
Thank you, Commissioner. The private roadway is proposed at 26 feet wide, curb to curb, so it would be signed as no parking on one side, which does meet the fire district standards.
Okay, as long as people read the signs, then we'll be good, right? Okay.
One hopes.
I always read this.
Sometimes that's an issue. Okay, thank you. So, if I may?
Please, Commissioner Jackson.
Were there other questions?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well then. I'm looking. Huh.
62.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm just... Okay. In the case of Z17-004, Governor's Run Specific Development Plan, the County Commissioners have reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation and the public comment as presented at the public hearing. I hereby move to approve this application based on the findings in the staff report, subject to the following conditions. 1. Prior to the signature of the final copy of these plans, the applicant must address Public Works staff comments and concerns. 2. The Cherry Creek School District's request for cash paid in lieu of land dedication, cash in lieu fees, to be determined using the appraised value method will be addressed at the time of the final plat and administrative site plan. And 3, the Tri-County Health Department's request for a mosquito control plan shall be addressed at the time of the administrative site plan.
Motion made by Commissioner Jackson.
I'll second it.
And seconded by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries. Are there any commissioner comments this morning? Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I'm sorry that Robert's left because I wasn't sure whether to say this now or wait for another time, but I listened to our citizens' comments, and it's true that we do often use an administrative process for these plans, but it seemed to me that there was enough concern in that area, and I know it's your district, so with respect, I'm wondering if we could elevate it to our level and take a look at it.
Mr. Hill, could you comment on that for us, please? And just if that's something, I don't know if that's something that we can put on the agenda to discuss in a study session or another time, or do we discuss that here on the dais?
I think it's certainly worth some discussion. The way the code is set up, there is a process that it can be elevated by the planning director. The way it reads is, in other words, our department, not the planning director, sorry, Jan, but the director of Public Works and Development considers these on an administrative basis. The director has the authority, pursuant to our code, to elevate it to the Board of County Commissioners for full USR review, which would be involve a public hearing on the matter. So it's really kind of the director's prerogative to elevate it.
Can we ask the director to do so?
I would say that you could certainly ask the director. There is also, it comes to the board if the director approves or approves with conditions or denies an administrative review, then that can be appealed by the applicant to the board.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
As I recall, when we put together our MOU that it absolutely, if there was controversy, that was something that would be elevated. So I would agree with that. And, I think that was a part of that MOU that we wrote. And so I would hope that this would be, we've had some conversations before, understand there are significant issues about what's being proposed. And I would agree with Commissioner Jackson that it ought to come forward. And I think that's already part of our MOU. So I don't know that there's anything special we need to do, but just ask it to come forward to us.
Good. Are there any other commissioner comments about that or any other item?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Holland.
Those of us who were on the commission at the time, that was an issue that we discussed very, very vigorously, and I think maybe we can ask council to go back and review those provisions within the MOU, and if that is in fact the case, then I think we can make that formal request.
I'll just add my thoughts is that what I wouldn't want is for, I don't recall this ever being done under an administrative review process with the director of the Public Works and Development. If this is the first time or the second time or however many times have we always, what's the case precedent kind of thing? Have we asked him to refer that to us on a certain number of occasions? And if that's the case, does that process in the MOU need to be revised if that's something we're never going to allow? And I'm not saying it is in this case, it's just that the process where that was instituted was obviously put there for a reason, to delegate some of our authority to the department director. And if we're not confident in doing that, then maybe that rule needs to be changed. Commissioner Sharp.
Yeah, and I think we were very confident in the administrative process, but we also wanted to make sure that if something was controversial, that it did get elevated. And I think that was the part of it, that on most of these things, there are a lot of them, there isn't a lot of controversy, and so that can be done administratively, and that was why we didn't continue to do use by special review, where all of these approvals for oil and gas wells came to the board. But we did want to make sure, at least I wanted to make sure, and I can't speak for anybody else, I think that was the general consensus of the board at the time. I know you all were not here at the time that was approved, but that gave the opportunity for citizens, for those that were more difficult, more controversial, to be able to come to the board, for us to be able to hear that. So, and I don't know if Mr. Hill has something in there that...
Just reading from the provision of the code, it's 12-1908.02, and it says, in lieu of the Public Works and Development Director making a decision on an application, the Director has the discretion to refer any application for administrative use by special review or amendment thereto to the board for its consideration and decision at a public hearing.
Right.
So.
And I agree that of the ones that have come up, this has been one of the most controversial. Right. So I would agree that probably is appropriate at this time for us to ask that to be. And so that we've heard from at least 3 or 4 commissioners. I think Commissioner Holland kind of voiced that he was leaning in that direction as long as the review by legal department allowed that. So, Commissioner Conti.
Yes, and I just want to say that I would voice an echo that I would agree that it should, come before the board.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I am not sure, because we've certainly heard about the potential for a couple of years of the development there and the size and all of that. What I don't know is what the latest is, and hopefully that could come forward in terms of staff working with Prosper and working with Conoco on the alternate sites. I don't know, so I think that would be something important for staff to bring forward to us about conversations that they've had,
Thank you.
I was interested in the other location.
Yes.
That, we don't decide on location and what's best or not. And I have no idea where it's best to drill, but I think that would be a good thing to know, and what Conoco's thoughts were on that.
I have had conversations with Mr. Hill, and I know that he's communicated with counsel for, I believe, both ConocoPhillips and Prosper. So those discussions and negotiation are at various levels, both with Public Works and Development staff and also with our legal department staff. I just don't know that they're ready at this point to bring a final synopsis of the discussions that have taken place at this time. They're continuing.
Our experience in the past with both of these entities, I think that they have tried to work with neighbors and constituents, so I hope that will continue to be the case.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments, questions, concerns?
Can I guess I would suggest to the board, if I'm understanding correct, just maybe for confirmation for me, but it sounds like I'm hearing board direction to county attorney's office to get with planning staff and then bring forward to the board just some more discussion about, in particular, the alternative site analysis issue that has been involved with this particular well site.
Alternate site location, and I know myself, the Roberts mentioned a emergency egress roadway, and I'm not sure that I've heard exactly where that location would be, and seemed to be indicated that it would be bringing the evacuees towards the incident location, if there was one, rather than away from them. And I just would like to see whether or not that is in fact the case. And so I think there are two things, and that may be both addressed in the use by special review level, if we were to elevate it to a use by special review. However, that's appropriate.
Just to let the board know, those items are currently being addressed and being considered relative to the administrative review that's going on with this.
Sure. Any other, Mr. Hill? Any other commissioners? All right. With that, we're going to close the public meeting. Thank you very much for being here today. We need to be upstairs at 10:30.
I just asked for an extension. This huge real estate cashier, so I have an accountant. We were emailing last night at 9 o'clock. I stopped and